Hello, my name is Tommaso Pollio, music producer for the Spirit in Action YouTube channel. With me is the fearless half of the Spirit in Action team, writer and counsellor, Claire. Welcome, Claire.
Hello, Tommaso. How are you today?
Good, thank you.
Good.
These podcasts are companions to the daily meditations that we produce freely on YouTube. The aim of these discussions is to further clarify what was read out. Today, we talk further on day 15. Fear. One thing that really resonates with me in this talk is when you mention that you are not your fears. You are the awareness that experiences it. Could we perhaps delve further into these powerful words, Claire?
Well, let me first explain what fear is. Fear is basically one of the 7 universal emotions experienced by all people in the world. And the trigger for fear is the threat of harm, real or imagined, basically to our emotional, physical and psychological well-being. So the function of fear is to avoid and reduce harm. And the present actions of fear include the fight and flight mechanism and also freezing.
And that's our natural, what you call it, the reptilian part of our brain?
Yes. So spiritually, fear means incorrect perception and seeing what isn't there. So that's the illusion.
The illusion of the future.
That's Maya, yeah. It's the illusion because it's incorrect perception.
You're just assuming things going to
Well,
happen.
you're often seeing what may not really truly be there, aren't you?
That's right.
Okay. So, fear is the opposite of love. Fear shrinks, love expands. Fear is based on beliefs. Love is based on the reality of who you are. So fear is false evidence appearing real.
False evidence appearing real. Like a fake news thing.
So our deepest fear really is the loss of self. So then we come to awareness. The first step in self-awareness is to listen to yourself and tune into your feelings and your senses, as it can give you insights into your own and others' feelings, really. It's stepping back and observing your thoughts and feelings as they unfold. It can be as simple as noticing emotions you feel, or complex layering of your emotions, of how your thoughts feed into your emotions, behaviours and physical sensations. So really, awareness is a shining light on the parts of your internal world that otherwise might really get pushed aside or buried. Does that make sense?
Sort of, yeah. I got lost a bit there.
Well, awareness is a shining light on the parts of your internal world that otherwise might get pushed aside or buried.
Yes, and or shut out or deafened by the clamour of the mind.
So awareness
panicking.
of these aspects of yourself is the first step to change your growth, really. So Carl Rogers, who is a great therapist, said, "The curious paradox is that when I accept myself as I am, then I can change."
Okay. Another wonderful thing you state is that avoiding fear can make it worse. Redesign your relationship with your fears and face them.
Well, you have to loosen your grips fear on you, really. You have to make a decision to let go of fear and act upon it.
Or face the fear head on?
Yeah, well, let go of it or act upon it. Yeah. So, action creates a ripple effect of movement. And this movement creates opportunities in your life. Maybe you cannot get rid of the fear, but you can manage it in a positive manner. in your life so that it empowers you.
Rather than...
So you shift your attitude to it.
Yeah. So rather than freezing you or...
Yes. Yeah, you're really changing your relationship with it because you're changing your mindset to it.
Because I guess fear is there... it's there to protect you. I mean, in the past, it was there to protect the species of surviving. You know, fear is what, when the birds, when the birds look and they go, okay, what was that? Was that a cat? No, I'm fine. You know, that's...
So it's not wrong to have fear.
Right.
It's just one of those, as I said, it's one of the 7 emotions. It's there. But if you work with it rather than against it...
Right. Fear is there to keep you alive.
You just have to loosen fear's grip on you, that's all.
That's right. That's right. I guess that's the next stage of conscious evolution, as opposed to...
Yes.
More being like what the animals are like, there's constant...
Yeah.
Looking back over your shoulder thing. So how do we cope in these times when bad news likes to come at us from left, right and centre? I mean, you just turn on the news and bang, 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 you just get this barrage of fear, be scared.
Well, it's normal to be overwhelmed by bad and negative news, and our body releases stress hormones to deal with that, with those negative emotions. So, we have to learn to switch off social media and news. Listen to music, go for a walk. Set your own boundaries to negative news. Set limits. Talk to someone. That can help you process what's going on. Focus on what you can control and let go of what you can't. As I say, the best way to deal with stress, with uncertainty, is to adjust your mindset. So take action over things you can achieve and let go of what you can't. Be present and exercise it. I mean, it's a natural stress reliever.
Yes, I've been doing that lately, and I get befuddled sometimes how people turn on the news when they're eating, when it's dinner time. Just think, why have that negativity coming at you while you're eating food? It always seems to be, that time that I'll put the news on.
Well, I suppose for a lot of people, they see that as relaxing and stress relieving in some way, even though they may not realise the effect it's have on your body.
1,000 people have died today in the blah blah war, and while you're eating.
I know, it doesn't...
This is the last thing I want to hear.
I agree, yeah.
So when is it a good time to hear this, the news? I mean, do you...
Well, you have to be a little bit detached from it. And you do... I used to listen to the news every single day and look on social media, and I haven't looked at the news for the last 6 months, which in some ways people may think is very silly, but, I just don't want that negativity. I choose not to have that input into my brain.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I went to visit a friend, and they came out. Look on the news. Look what's happened on the news. I said, I don't want to see. I really don't want to know. It was a ridiculous story about someone attacking someone while going for a walk and blah blah blah. And you're going, oh no, I don't.
And that doesn't mean that you don't care about people. That you can have your compassion in your heart and love in your heart for people. Okay. You don't have to get swamped by all the negativity of it, because it can become quickly overwhelming.
Yes, totally. Could we perhaps elaborate more on this idea of the emotional body and how it brings us this disease? Like we were just talking about how not to get affected, and often it does prey on your...
Well, there are 4 bodies: physical, emotional, mental and spiritual. And our emotional body really represents the system in charge of how we process and understand our emotions. The emotional body, if you like, it's the bridge between the physical and the mental body. Mm-hmm. It represents our feelings and relationship to all things. So it's sort of like how we react and interpret and respond to situations. So if the emotional body is balanced, it can be empathetic, open-hearted, inclusive and generous. If it's blocked, We lack emotional intelligence, trust, have little intuition or ability to read and understand people. Also lots of fear and neurosis. So bring the emotional body into balance by releasing emotional stress and tension. Balancing your hormones is important, and I think forgiveness is crucial. Our feeling body conveys messages to the body, so if your feelings and emotions are painful, it is seen as a painful emotion in the body. It makes it hard to be present, which really leads to disease. And disease means dis-ease. If you have strong emotional reaction to something, it means past trauma has been triggered, because it's bound by imprints, impressions from bad experiences that we really are very dense.
I see.
And really run on frequencies of fear, anger and remorse and negativity. And we tend to identify ourselves with our emotions. So being stressed can develop emotional ill health, which can lead to disease if not dealt with.
I find that happens a lot, like around sharp objects. I suddenly get very faint. You know, if you get me next to anything that can cut, I just feel quite woozy. Is that just from...
Well, it's probably from some past fear or experience or reaction to something in the past. I mean, I used to have that with knives. I would always hide knives.
Yes, I still do.
And that was because I was stabbed by some mad man.
How did you get over that without turning into a,
well, it took
paranoid?
A long time.
It took a while.
Yeah, it took a while because it was a horrific experience.
Yeah, that would be.
But you can go move beyond it.
Move beyond.
And I have total forgiveness for that person.
They were just loony.
I was just getting on a bus.
It was just random.
Yeah.
He just randomly chose to stab you. That's horrid. Were people around you, or?
Yes, lots of people. It was at a bus stop in London.
And they all came to the rescue?
Well, no, I fought back madly. Yeah, but anyway, in the end he ran off.
He ran off?
Yeah.
Did they ever catch this person?
They did catch him, yeah. He was trying to grab my handbag.
Horrid.
But you can move beyond those things,
So, with the fear, something like that can cause a big block. And for some people, they never get over it, do they? Like, they will...
Well, because it's, that emotion gets blocked into the body. So you have to work through it in your head, and then you have to work on what's going on in the body and realise that the body's release may take a long time. And, remember that mindfulness is being aware of where you are in the present moment. So you can focus on the past or what was, or you can try and be present.
Right. So that comes back to the power of meditation.
Yes.
And as a regular meditator, I must have to say that I am a good boy. I've been meditating, Claire. I've found that it has somewhat lessened the stronghold that fear has had on me. And it does all the world of good. Even if I've had a rough day and I've been triggered and fear has come, I know that I know I've got that tool, I've got that thing to fall back on. And these fears do come back, or the odd anxiety attack. And I know that meditation is there to stabilize.
Yes, stabilize, yeah. Well, meditation, as you said, does lessen the stronghold that fear has on you. Meditation basically thickens the prefrontal cortex. So that's the brain center that manages higher order brain function, like increased awareness, concentration, and decision making. Meditation shows higher order functions become stronger, while lower order brain activities decrease. So in today's tricky times, meditation plus mindfulness breathing, which is using the breath as an anchor to the present moment, we learn to be aware of what's happening in the present moment, and it allows you to observe what is rising and falling away. It allows thoughts to come and go without attachment, without trying to hold on to. Well, it allows thoughts to come and go really without attachment. We have to calm and still ourselves, and that will follow if you do that regularly. We have to arise what is rising and falling away, and that allows thoughts to come and go without attachment. And always calmness and stillness will follow. It will improve psychological balance. It increases calmness and basically enhances overall breath and well-being.
But I remember you saying once that often meditation is not for all, or certain meditation will bring up things. So
well, I think some people may not be ready for meditation. But meditation weakens the neural connections, enabling us to be more responsive and less reactive. So if you meditate regularly, you'll find that happens. I just think some people are better to learn how to relax first and to have an understanding of themselves before some people learn to
delving
meditate.
into even further, sort of judge by how a person reacts, where they're at, and what level,
and
what state they're in.
And it's got nothing to do with some people are better or worse. It's just where you're at in your consciousness at the time being. And for some people, it may bring up too much too quickly.
That's right.
That's why, work on yourself, slowly learn to relax first. But meditation is a wonderful tool because it really does change. Well, it brings you to become more of who you really are.
If you ever talked about meditation in the 60s, 70s, it was more like the woo-woo, meditate, right?
Well, I think in this world of over information, you'll find that a lot of employees, particularly in the future, will be giving people jobs depending on their DNA.
Okay.
And if their DNA has too much stress, it will actually lead more and more people to meditation.
It's funny because I started working with you in 98 on meditation. And even then, when you mentioned it to people, it was still relatively out there for 1998. But if you say it now, people go, yeah, I'll do that too. It's like...
It's much more accepted commonly now.
Yes, yeah.
And many companies are employing people to be... I worked for a company.
Oh, did you?
At one point.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, teaching all their clients meditation and mindfulness.
I think it's now become regarded...
And this was a mining company.
A mining company.
So there you go.
Oh, God, they needed a lot. There's a lot of isolation there, isn't there? So you think... So they seem to go hand in hand. So the meditation does help combat the fear that we all have. For example, I wanted to ask about this. Last night I had just a minute or so of incredible anxiety and fear just swept up, and it came out of nowhere. I wasn't thinking about anything, but it just enveloped me.
Yes, that can happen.
Really, it just comes out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm. And it may not all be yours. I mean, remember, however we're feeling, the more we focus on that feeling, the more we attract what is around us. So if there's a lot of fear around us, we will attract more fear. So we will always pick up things in the airwaves. And so some of it may not be ours, and some of it may be astrological. There may be more of a propensity for a certain way of feeling.
That makes so much sense, because it didn't make sense to me at the time. I said, what is going on? It was just a smothering feeling that I was going to be smothered, and I said, I don't know where it came from. Yeah, it was interesting. I had to put one of the meditations on.
Well, that shows you that it's not really about you, isn't it? That you were partly detached from it. You felt it had come out of nowhere, literally.
Yes. And then I went literally.
So it's like, what is you? Who am I?
And it was an incredible fear that I've never thought about before. And I thought, is this my thought or somewhere else? It was a really fascinating fear.
Yeah, it's good to be detached and be able to look at that and examine it.
It was, interesting. It was this drowning fear. And I thought, what the hell?
Well, fear is so enveloping.
Okay.
The truth of it. I used to be terrified as a child. I would sleepwalk all the time. And we lived in a 4-storey house as a child. And I would go around the whole house sleepwalking, locking all the windows and doors.
You're the security guard.
Well, funny now, but when I think of how fearful I used to be as a child,
Of course, things like that will come up again in cycles. But
Yeah, I've had cycles of that come round. I mean, I'm not attached to that anymore, but...
that's the thing, not to attach. So the mistake would have been last night if I suddenly attached myself to that fear.
Well, it comes to a point where it can grip you almost.
Yes, it does.
And that's where the words come in and meditation.
The words meditation, and put the YouTube, I put the one on fear on and listened to that. And it was gone. It just, and then I went to...
Well, that tells you, is it about now? Was it real?
No.
So you were the awareness...
That's what you mentioned before.
Watching it.
You were the awareness that experiences it. Less into reacting and more into recognizing.
Well, you become less reactive and more... What's the opposite?
Responsive? No.
More responsive, that's right.
And more...
So being responsive is from your adult. Being reactive is from your wounded inner child. Well, I used to be fearful as hell of the dark when I was a kid.
Yes, I could only sleep with the light on till I was about 10. It really pissed my brother off because we had to share the same room. Turn off the light! No, please! My brother could always just fall asleep, and I used to get so angry at him for falling asleep like that I used to wake him. I said, you can't fall asleep till I've fallen asleep. My poor brother. And plus I had the lights on. So he goes, turn the lights off. No, I can't go to sleep with the lights.
I used to be so scared of the dark, and I had 6 brothers and sisters, and I was so scared. It was unbelievable. And one day I had this extraordinary feeling. I would have been about 8 or 9. And I went to my bathroom, and there was a beautiful window in the bathroom that looked out onto the roof and the sky. And I was always so scared I didn't even dare look at the window. And this day, all of a sudden out of the blue, I felt as if the fear had completely left me, totally left me, and it was so extraordinary. I remember going up and opening the window and shouting out to the roof, I'm not scared. And that whole night being completely fearless. But even at that age, I remember thinking, does that make fear real or not? How come I'm experiencing this fearlessness? Where's it come from? It was extraordinary.
That is extraordinary.
And it was such a light and freeing feeling, letting go of that fear. It was extraordinary.
I hear stories like that of people who face death, and in that moment, all that is gone. People who have survived, of course, talk about that. They're saying all of a sudden their fear and they felt such an overwhelming fear, a release.
Yeah, I felt like something had completely left me. It was extraordinary. I remember almost feeling as if angels were present.
I mean, of course, everyone's biggest fear of most people is the fear of death. And to hear things like that...
Well, I suppose I look at death as, why can't we look at it as an opportunity for growth and change?
Because we've been fed so much into death is just that's it. The end. I guess the ego has the most fear of death because it is the death of the ego, isn't it?
Yeah, because I totally believe we don't die, but people go on about the ego. I mean, I think we have to make the ego strong before we can let go of it.
Yes, it's there for a reason, right? Again, it's a survival
technique,
right? Is this the next, was the ego the next step of consciousness evolution for people? Whereas, because you look at a chicken or a, they don't seem to have an ego, do they? They sort of just,
Well, that's right. Yeah.
they're quite simple in that way. But we've moved beyond that, and now it's come to a header where it can actually destroy all of us. And I guess the next step now is
The next step is to go in.
To go in, be
To
aware,
go in, become aware,
and see what
to see what is real and what isn't real.
is real and what isn't real. Claire's had enough. Thank you so much for helping us. If you would like to get in touch with Claire, she is very contactable. She works from Perth. You can get in touch with her by clicking on the link below, and she will respond. You can meet with her personally, or if you're not in Perth, you can actually talk to her through Skype, and you can work there. She works internationally as well. If you can't see in person, it is nice to see Claire in person though.
Well, and please listen to Tommaso's beautiful, wonderful music. He's such a fantastic musician.
There's such a wealth of free meditations to listen to. I think we just recorded day 75 at this point. It takes a while because the music takes a while to make, but
Plus, Tommaso works for the opera company and is full on with many projects.
This project is basically, we do it basically out of when we got any free time, and we just
which isn't much.
So it's once in a blue moon. But late at night I spend at least half an hour tinking away on this project, which I think is very important. I think it's helped me a lot. I mean, I use it mainly for myself. If anyone else wants to listen, I'm very happy too. And I suppose it does help other people. I've had comments.
I have lots of comments,
Yes.
And it also helps me.
Oh, good.
You always learn and grow.
It is hard in this sort of platform when you don't really hear back, because you just put it out there and it's out there. And you don't really hear back except from comments. So it is nice to have comments or likes.
But please keep them positive.
Yeah, keep them positive, and we're all trying to come from a place of...
We're all just trying to move on with our lives.
Move on with our lives and becoming more aware.
And happier.
Thank you, Claire.
Thank you very much, Tommaso. I really appreciate your time and effort.